So you're thinking about starting a coffee brand, but you're trying to determine whether or not you should do it yourself by starting your own coffee roastery, or maybe you're considering working with a private label coffee company, kind of like us. This is one of the topics that I've seen coming up a lot in some of the chat groups that I'm in, and I'm here to answer a bunch of questions for you so that you can make that determination for yourself. Before opening your own coffee roastery and deciding to do your own coffee brand yourself, there's a lot of things that you have to consider. Those being the cost of a coffee roaster, the availability of a coffee roaster, and also the availability of a space that you can actually use like this one to roast coffee in. It's not as simple as just buying a coffee roasting machine from whichever manufacturer you like the most and then going down the street and finding a space to plug your roaster into. There's a lot that goes into it. We're going to talk about all that in this video, and hopefully that can help you in determining whether or not opening a coffee roastery is for you or not.
All right, let's talk about some of the costs that are going to be associated with building out a roastery. I'm trying to blow through this here pretty quick, and you can follow along, or I can send you this PDF if you really want. So just leave a link in the comment if you want this PDF to see everything that I built. Now, keep in mind that this list is not fully exhaustive because there are some other things on here that are not shown, but we'll try to fill in those blanks when we can. Okay, first and foremost here, this is all of the equipment that I needed just to kind of build out the miscellaneous things in the shop. I think I labeled these things as like the lab equipment. This is basically everything that you're going to need to be able to make and serve coffee in your coffee roastery so that you can see what your coffee tastes like. So $7,811. So that right there is your initial cost. Now let's go over to the packing and shipping station. Bean scoops, bag formers, label printers, scales, bag sealers, etc. That gets pretty darn expensive as well. So that right there is $3,304. However, recently I upgraded a lot of my equipment and added some new tables, added some racks, and this is the total right here, $4,056. You'll see down here that some of that stuff is boxes, but we're only talking about $23 worth of stuff. So, all right, and you'll see here, now this is all of the build out cost. So electrical, gas, mechanical, this was for my contractor right here, all of the stuff that they needed to do, running electricity, running the gas, running the water, putting in a hot water heater, etc. And then the plans, permits, and architect are all about $4,000 plus. And the exhaust pipe, just the exhaust pipe that I have on my coffee roaster cost as much as a lot of the coffee roasters that people start off with. Miscellaneous improvements, which is like paint and doorknobs and all the other stuff to kind of clean the space up a little bit. And then we have our most expensive purchase right here, $29,000 for the roaster that I have. I have a Giesen W6. I had it made in the Netherlands, took about 6 months to construct, and then another couple of months for it to get here. I believe from the time that I paid for my machine until it arrived at my doorstep was about 9 months. And as you can see here, it cost me $1,900 to get that roaster sent here from the Netherlands. Now keep in mind, this is $29,000 for a 6 kilo roaster. I have a new roaster coming that does 35 kilos and it's $146,000. So there's another number for you to put into your spreadsheet when you start trying to figure out your cost. Now the build out costs are one thing. The other expenses that you have to figure out are your operating expenses. I would suggest you budget for at least 3 months worth of operating expenses. So as you can see here, there's a lot of costs that we have included. $800 for the LLC fee, my rent for the first 3 months, some marketing, deposit on the renting or the roasting space that I'm in, some media and organic certification, $3,000 for organic certification. That's actually a little bit higher than what I paid. I think $1,800 is about where I was, but we also had to pay for a lot of other food and health related licenses as well. So $3,000 is probably pretty safe to expect for all of the licensing that you will see. So you can see right here, $12,000 for that. And then we need to get some coffee. We haven't even gotten there yet. So brewing equipment, got to be able to make the coffee. I know we talked about that earlier in the lab expenses, but I ended up needing more stuff, which was a coffee brewer. So I think I ended up getting a Curtis coffee brewer. Now I have a Fetco, but expect to pay about $2,000 for a commercial level coffee brewer and grinder to go with that. And then you have your green supply. This is only 5 bags, people. That's like 700 pounds of coffee. Not a lot, $2,300. So just to get started, those are all of the costs that you're looking at. Let's tally them up here. $7,800 for the lab equipment. The packing station was $3,304 plus $4,025, and then you have your build out cost, which was $47,948, and then your first quarter expenses of $12,160, and then your cost of goods of $4,310. That is a lot of money. So if you're thinking about doing a coffee brand, private label might be the way to go if you don't have an extra $100,000 sitting around and a year or two of time to get to market.
Okay, now that we've seen what it costs to start a coffee roasting business, I'm gonna go through some of the costs associated with getting started with a private label program with Kaleo Coffee.
Now let's talk about the prices of private label. This presentation is actually in one of my other YouTube videos, and I'm going to link that above, but you can go through here and you can see the prices that we charge. Now, packaging, that's all fixed cost. That's going to be the same whether you start a roastery or you partner with us. But the prices that we charge specifically for the services that we offer is $650 for an account management fee, $5 a month to store your packages, or $15 if you have a lot, if we need to put a pallet up on the rack. And then every order is $3 per order. Kitting is $100. If you want us to do a digital marketing package for you, it's $450, and graphic design package is $360. Now we do add 10% to the total of all packaging cost if we take care of that for you. That just covers our overhead for getting the products in the door for you. That's really it. Prices of coffee is pretty much the same across the board. Now that you've got all the information, if you want to get started with private labeling with us, here's our information.
Okay, so now that we've talked about some of the cost associated with opening a coffee roastery, let's talk about some of the advantages of just partnering with somebody that already has a coffee roasting operation in place who you can private label through. Some of the pros of partnering with somebody who's already in operation is you eliminate all of the entry to market time that it would take you otherwise to start your own coffee roasting business. This business took me 6 months minimum as soon as I signed the lease on this space. But I had ordered my coffee roaster, I want to say 9 months before that. We actually have a new roaster that's coming to replace this one soon, and we ordered that one more than 13 months ago, and it's still not going to be here for a few more months. There's a lot that goes into it, and if you don't have a year or two to wait to go to market, maybe partnering with somebody who's already doing it can get you a little bit of a head start and see if this is actually something that you want to do. All right, so if you have any other questions on the cost associated with starting a coffee roastery, you can put those in the comments, or you can send us a direct message and I'll try to get back to you on that. However, hopefully by now you're able to get an idea of how much it's going to cost you to have a coffee roasting business from start to finish, and then how much it's going to cost you to get started with Kaleo Coffee with a private label coffee program. With that said, I think I've pretty much covered it all. So if you haven't already, like this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.